I'm a student for life. I'm someone who's driven by this fire and I just can't seem to ignore it. When I moved here as an immigrant child, I fell in love with connecting with people through the medium of dancing, and to be on the same set as Tabu and Vamika and Ali Fazal and Vishal Bhardwaj sir. I still can't believe that happened to us. Then he looked at me, he's, "Aap kya karti hain?" And I was like, "Sir, मैं musician nahi hu, but I'm their manager." And he's, "Okay, tell me a little about Madhuban, ye kya hai?" Where I'm dancing at an event and I'm covering the event at the same time. I've gotten off the stage and okay, camera out how or like actually go interview people. It's like this dancing reporter. A year ago, I couldn't even walk. So I was extremely sick for the last 2 years. It was like ongoing health. Encourage anyone who's dealing with mental health to talk to somebody. You shouldn't rely on your friends and family to always understand. I think there's professional help out there. Use it.
Sat Sri Akal, Namaste, hello and welcome to the Truth Tribe Show. I'm your host Ravi Tur, and today we are discussing dance and arts and women power with our very special guest, Ishita Singla from Madhuban Performing Arts. Ishita, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Ravi. The honor is all mine.
So for those who don't know Ishita is the founder and artistic director of Madhuban Performing Arts, a vibrant collective showcasing South Asian arts in Calgary since 2016. She is an experienced communication specialist with a bachelor's degree in marketing from the University of Calgary. She currently also works as a senior communications manager at CBC, demonstrating a blend of creative and strategic skills. Under her leadership, Madhuban Performing Arts expanded from a dance team to a comprehensive ensemble, including a music team in 2017, enriching the organization's cultural impact. They also made their mark in Bollywood with their performance in Vishal Bhardwaj's Netflix thriller Kufia, which is an accomplishment in itself. She's recognized as Top 40 Under 40 by Avenue magazine. She's a recipient of the South Asian Inspiration Award for outstanding achievement in arts, culture, and entertainment. And she's also been awarded the Queen's Platinum Jubilee by the government of Alberta for her notable contributions to the field. You can find her on her website, which is madhubanperformingarts.com, and their Instagram handle, Madhuban Performing Arts. Super excited to have you here, Ishita, today and to chat with you. To start us off, though, in your own words, who are you and what do you do?
That's a very good question. I'm still discovering that. I feel like I'm a student for life. I'm someone who's driven by this fire in my belly and I just can't seem to ignore it. वो आग बुझती नहीं है. Like, that's how I feel. And I don't know where it comes from. I feel like art has been a major part of my life for as far as I can remember. I was, I think, 3 when I started like walking and dancing at the same time. So when I moved here as an immigrant child, I fell in love with connecting with people through the medium of dancing and just being able to communicate. So I think I'm this just very, so to speak, eccentric, exuberant person, in my own words, who likes to just live life through arts and whatever else that brings me joy.
You sound like an artist there. So when you think of your childhood, let's say, so let's start there. So when you think of your childhood as it relates to arts and performing, what is your most favorite childhood memory that comes to your mind? Who are you with? What are you doing? And sort of what does that signify?
So, India mein, like हमारे school mein, there used to be like teachers celebration. So there was Teachers Day. ठीक है? And we used to, like a few of our friends would get together and that was the only, we were allowed to do filmy songs. Like, क्योंकि हमारे जो annual function day होता था, it would be more geared towards like folk dances and like you would have to do what your teacher is telling you to do. But in like Teachers Day celebrations, we were allowed to do whatever we wanted. So then a few of us would get together and we would create a piece and it would like koi didi aati thi and she'd teach us ki ye karenge, wo karenge. And we would get together and we would just have so much fun. I remember, so a few of my best friends, like the childhood best friends I had, we put together this dance to Dholi Taro Dhol Baje. And it's just been in my mind forever. I think it was the fact that it was community building and it was like that joy of creating something together and being in love with each other. I think that is like the foundational point of Madhuban as well. So I think the whole thing started.
I remember the celebrations, so Teachers' Day ki and Children's Day, where you'll get together and then people will be
Yeah.
performing and then everybody would have a chance at it. Based on that, Ishita, who would you consider then as your role model or आपकी inspiration कौन है?
In life, my mother, as in who I aspire to be the most like in terms of morals and just living life in the way she does. Like she's so calm, collected, and I'm none of that, but I'm striving to be somewhat like her because she just has it all together in terms of knowing where she is in terms of as a person and versus the world, and nothing ever seems to affect her in a negative way. I don't know how she does it. So striving to be like her in terms of as a person. And in terms of dancing, I believe I would say I learned how to dance by watching Madhuri Dixit. And I think that's probably the most generic answer any dancer from the 90s, 90s kids could give you. But yeah, like who else? I don't know. I feel like no one's matched her till date. I used to like my first movie. Apparently, what we went to watch was Hum Aapke Kaun. So we went to the theater, and I was like 1.5 years or 2 years old or something like that. And apparently, mom was like, "You were so engrossed in the film, like you were laughing, dancing, whatever else with the film. And as soon as the sad part came, you were crying. So clearly, Madhuri Dixit got in your body and never left. So."
That's hilarious. That's awesome. So my first movie that I ever watched in a theater is actually Hum Aapke Hain Kaun as well. So that's the first movie that I've watched. And yeah, I totally agree with you. I think Madhuri Dixit was an icon. Any 90s child would agree to that. She really set the bar up high.
And when I talk to these like kiddos in my group who are like 2000 babies, and I'm like Madhuri Dixit, and they're like Madhuri who? And I'm like, I'm offended. Like what?
You have all the reasons to be offended on that. I'd be offended. Let's talk about Madhuban. So question on Madhuban. How did you came up with the name? What does that mean for you?
Yeah, so I'm not a religious person. I just want to give that disclaimer. But I've always connected with Radha Krishna because I feel like there's a little bit of like I don't know, it's like romanticism. There's that love aspect. There's magic to them. And I really just always connected to it. And when I thought of creating my own space and thinking about the fact that the origins of Indian dancing actually comes from telling tales about Radha Krishna, like going back to so many years, what happened in those times. And Radha Krishna were the first documented people who danced or did ras and whatever. So taking from that, I was like, if I'm creating a safe space, and the goal was to create a safe space, what better name than Madhuban to encapsulate that, like to show that it's this magical forest where we all get together and we create something together, and you can be yourself and it can feel like that mentally. So I think that's what I was trying to project, and that's where the name came from.
Very interesting. And what led you to start Madhuban? Where did that idea come from? How were the initial days for you?
Very unfiltered. I never took dancing as more than a hobby. As I told you, I danced since I walked. So it was like second nature for me. If I would go to a party or a celebration and if I would hear music, it would be like, okay, yeah, like dancing or like school में and all that stuff. Like it was very natural for me. I never really took it as like something I would want to do semi-professionally or even close to being professional with. I also didn't know how good I was at it because no one ever actually came up to me and told me that you should pursue this either. Because in our culture, like nobody actually promotes that. And in our times, like बिल्कुल भी नहीं होता था. Like people used to be like, हाँ पढ़ाई करो ये करो वो करो. I was doing a few solo performances here and there. I was a solo artist before Madhuban, and I got recruited by some local dance groups here. And what I discovered very quickly is the dance groups here were very male oriented. Like तो बीच में एक male dancer खड़ा होता था, and the girls would be like accessories. Like you would be treated like you're just like the side piece. And something didn't feel right about that. I felt like it was very transactional in that sense. Like I didn't feel like an artist on stage. I felt like more of I'm just a body there just to look pretty, and I'm not able to utilize my artistic talents to the maximum potential. And then also the environments that I found in the different groups were very toxic. There was a lot of bringing each other down. And it wasn't the fact that the girls wanted to bring each other down. It was because we were being pit against each other constantly. Ki kaun lead dancer banegi? Who's going to be the heroine next? So everyone's kind of pull each other down. There's that crab mentality going on. And you know how they show it in Bollywood films, like everyone's fighting and like that whole, like you've seen fashion, right? Like kind of the similar way. I experienced that. And I was like, and I remember I was sitting in the theater for one of these shows, and it was like a 4-day thing, like where we performed for 4 days straight. And I loved it. And I was like, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. I want to keep performing, but I don't want to perform with these groups. I want to do it like in a better space, or I want to create something that actually matches or aligns with my values. So it came out of a place of frustration, but it was good frustration because it came from a place where I saw a gap and I wanted to create that change.
Kudos to you to take that step, because a lot of people feel the same pain, but they don't do anything about it. They're like, oh yeah, well, that's how it's supposed to be. And then there's people like you who actually take the action and be like, no, this could be changed and this could be better. So kudos to you on that.
I told you there's a fire in my belly, and if you put a matchstick to that fire, it's going to just keep getting bigger and bigger. So that's what happened.
Looks like the fire has now turned into a wildfire and it's spreading. So you said you were solo. You started off this group. What were the initial days like? What were some of the challenges you faced, and what did you learn from it?
A lot of challenges. A lot of our competitors were really after us to shut us down. Like it was like insane. I've never had this much drama in my life, where I think we stepped in with this brand and everyone was like, how dare she? What is going on? And I was getting a lot of pushback from many different aspects of my life. So competitors, hey, that is a very given thing. And I think in every industry there is competition, but this was not even healthy competition. It was like toxic. But if you think about it, it makes sense because I was fighting that toxicity. So I had to face it now. But there was also like my parents were concerned ki ye kya kar rahi hai? Like how come she went from like this whole academic career path to now like leading this dance group? Ki kya ho raha hai? Is she going to go into this full time? So there was like that pressure from home ki like what is going to happen? So there's a lot of like fear coming from like my loved ones, which was obviously an obstacle. Another obstacle was like to find the right people for the team, because I personally believed that I wanted artists who were 90% human and 10% artists. That's what I was looking for. I want people who would come in and I would like fall in love with creating with them. Like I wanted to be in a good, safe space because I was so tired of that crab mentality. So I didn't want people who believed in that. And then 10%, okay, you're a good dancer, great. That works for me. So there were a lot of challenges. Like we started off with like a nominal budget of $100. You have to see there were like so many challenges to even lift this thing off. A lot of people trying to stop it. A lot of people trying to make sure that we don't get gigs. But I guess you can't stop something that has genuine legs to it.
100%. So you mentioned something there, 90% human, 10% artist would work for you. How do you find that 90% human? What are you looking for? How do you judge that this person is like a right fit for your group?
See, I am looking for people who are open to learning. I don't like artist mein I don't know, innate ego hota hai. Like they have this, especially if you're like a really good artist and you know it. It's like, you know, I know I'm good at dancing, so I know it. They will walk in with this star quality to themselves, or they'll have this ego and they'll have these requirements ki ye hona chahiye, and like this is what I want. And I didn't want any of that. I wanted people who are humble, down to earth, even if they're like star dancers or star musicians or whatever it is. And so for me, that's the biggest filter. Like it needs to be someone who's relatable, approachable, and someone who's open to learning. So there's never that whole thing ki this person who's teaching me is not up to my level, so I will not obtain whatever knowledge they're giving me. And this value is important to me is because we actually choreograph together as a group. We collaborate. We are a very highly collaborative group. And you don't find that in any other setting. I can guarantee you that. Usually what happens is you have a choreographer comes in, teaches you, and sometimes we do that model, but most of the times we enjoy actually sharing ideas and actually creating something together. And that was the key element to our success, right? So that 90% human, that's what I'm looking for. Like, I'm looking for someone who can be vulnerable, be real, be organic. Like, when we have our conversations as a group, we can all share, we can be there, and it's not pretentious and it's not superficial. That's what I was looking for.
Very interesting. You actually touched on the point. I had it here. Okay, how do you create a masterpiece, right? And as you said, usually it's a choreographer, the brains of the whole idea, and then everybody sort of follows suit. But it's a very refreshing approach. So, question on that: you have many artists in your group today. What is the full artistic scope? आपकी group का जो आज है, कितने dancers, कितने musicians?
Yeah, so in just to give people context, we started off as a dance group, but then in 2018 we also branched off to have a music team, and we're the only South Asian band in Calgary right now. So we have about 11 musicians, I believe, now.
Wow.
So there's a full-fledged band. They can take on any type of concert. And some of them are in Kufia, as you saw. And dancers, we have 20 dancers now. And then there's admin team and other volunteers who help us in the back end.
Do you focus on a particular dance form, or what is the limitations of the group?
It's a complete khichdi. We do we do what we feel like doing. I'm an untrained artist. I'm a self-taught dancer. So I actually do not have a classical background. I do not have this background or that background. I've picked up a lot of different dance forms throughout my life through, like, different exposures to choreographers or just in school mein folk dances and just learning from here and there, like watching things. So I myself a khichdi, right? Like, I don't have a particular dance style. And some of my dancers have some niche styles that they like to do, but they're also the people, as I said, they're very 90% human, so they are open to learning from each other. So we have people who can do breakdancing, we have people who can do full-on Bharatanatyam, but we have, like, and like contemporary dancers. We have like a whole array of dancers, and we all learn from each other and how we can bring our strengths to the table.
Very, very cool. And so where do you guys perform, practice? How often do you guys do it?
Yeah, so we meet twice a week right now. So and if like there's a performance coming in, we need more practices, we'll add them on, but we meet twice a week. So it's like, for dancers, it's looking to be like 6 to 8 hour commitment a week. And in terms of practice spaces, that's one of our challenges even now. We currently use our basements to practice, and sometimes we rent out a studio, but budgets are limited, so we can't always have that. So I'm really hoping that one day we will have our own studio. We'll be able to house all our things in one place and not live out of our basements.
Yeah, I'm sure that day is closer than you might think. So, question on that: what would you consider your most memorable or inspirational performance that you guys as a group have done so far?
There's so many. There's so many that have changed our lives, so inspirational. And as a choreographer, I would say Dance Montage 2019 was my favorite performance. We auditioned 50 dancers. Most of them were University of Calgary dance majors. And we choreographed this massive piece with 21 dancers who got selected. And it was like, we embedded a storyline into it. It was like, like a queen who is in conflict with a tribal queen, and like how they come together and create a community. And it was selected to be the opening piece of that show. So I think that was a big honor for me, because I don't know if you remember, I told you about that one show where I was backstage and I realized I wanted to do this forever. Yeah. I was actually a dancer in the same show in 2015, and I came back as a choreographer in 2019 for the same show. And that choreography was like very special for me. I never actually danced in that piece. I watched them for all the 4 performances they did, and I sat there and cried because I was just so proud of them. I was so proud of the girls and the one guy we had. And they just like owned that space. And it was groundbreaking to have a South Asian piece, especially a folk-driven South Asian piece, be at that level. And at the end of the performance, I remember the head of the University of Calgary's dance department came up to me and said, well, that was an opener. And I think that's like the biggest compliment an untrained choreographer and dancer could have received. So it was definitely very, like, it gave me a new level of confidence in myself.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So question, when you are in those shoes of a choreographer, how do you craft your piece, right? What does the thought process looks like? And where does that inspiration comes from?
It's going to sound really weird. So it's going to sound so
Let it
weird.
be.
I usually like some of these pieces, I've seen them when I'm like concentrating and I have my eyes closed and I see a vision. I'll see this is what I want. So I don't know where it comes from. It's a little mystical, but I sometimes imagine a piece and then I pursue that vision. So I know it's really weird, but it's like literally how it happens. And I don't know why it happens that way.
That's actually really not that weird because I find when you're actually concentrating and you're so in love with something that you do and you have the time and you're free of other things, that's really where the thoughts flow, right? Like I hear people, they're on the walks and they're not thinking about anything. The best ideas come to them. Or people when meditating, they're in that state where they can think of these things that they wouldn't otherwise in their day to day, right? So
Yeah, like that's just literally how my brain's been working. So we recently staged a really big theater show and it came to me the same way. And I don't know. There's no explanation, but I guess you understand it. Like it's like meditative state of mind almost. And you just connect with that inner visions in your mind or your soul. And you're like, this is what I want to project.
So little segue into your accomplishments, Kufia. How did that opportunity, like it's like, first of all, it's big on Netflix, Vishal Bhardwaj, he's a legend and Netflix is as big as one gets. So how did this opportunity came about? What was the experience like? Walk me through with that.
So more than the screen time, I think the experience was like priceless. To be on the same set as Tabu and Vamika and Ali Fazal and Vishal Bhardwaj sir. Like, I still can't believe that happened to us. So it's very funny. We did a dance during the COVID time because there were no actual shows. There were like rules against it. So we were like, okay, we're bored. We're going to make a dance video. So we went to Banff, created this dance video, and I had collaborated with some local makeup artists for that project. One of the makeup artists turned out to be one of the casting agents for this Kufia movie. Like, as in, like, there were a few agents in the city who were putting out these casting calls, but this was our like direct connection because she remembered that we had a band. And some of those band members were there at the shoot. So she had met them. And it was just like, oh, like I remember there was a band. So Vishal sir was in specifically, like, like he's very specific about this. He's very particular about this. Like, let's say a song is going on. He just doesn't look for like fake people, not people, but like actors to just like fake play a song. Like he wants it to be genuine. So he wants an actual musician to play a musician's role because he's such a like big musician himself, right? Like that's how he actually started his journey as an artist. So he respects the fact that music needs to look authentic in his movies, which we really highly respect. So he was looking for a band for this one song, which was being filmed in Calgary and Drumheller. And he reached out to these casting agents. They got us on board. And I was actually not supposed to be at the meeting because managers were not allowed. It was supposed to be the casting agent and the band. And my band requested ki, saath mein aa jao, lobby mein baith jana. And I'm not even kidding you. I was not even showered. I was like, chalo chalte hain. It's not like मैं meeting में जा रही हूँ, मुझे कोई नहीं देखेगा. So I'm sitting वहीं पे, like in the lobby, looking like crap. so walks in Vishal sir and his little posse, and they get taken into the room, and I'm like, oh my god, Bhagwan sab kuch theek kar do and all that. And they somehow, like, one of the ADs comes out and he's like, aap bhi aa jao andar. And I was like, okay, theek hai. So then went inside, and Vishal sir, the humble man he is, so down to earth, so real. Like, you'd never think someone of his stature would be so honest with his craft. Like, for a scene where we were so minutely there, he was putting so much of his. Usually, I think what I've heard is directors have people under them who would cast like extras like this. They would not do it themselves. He watched our music videos to actually see how we play. He was impressed with it, and I was like, wow. And he then asked each musician one by one कि आपका नाम क्या है? आप कौन सा instrument बजाते हो? What is this all about? And then he looked at me, he's like, आप क्या करती हैं? And I was like, sir, मैं musician नहीं हूँ, but I'm their manager. And he's like, okay, tell me a little about Madhuban, ये क्या है? And then I told him like two sentences. I was like, yeah. And he looked at me, he smiled, he talked to his AD, खुसफुस खुसफुस, and he was like, आप गाने की एक्टिंग कर लोगी? And I was like, कर लेंगे, आप जो मर्जी बोलो. And then I was like, sure. And then he talked to his AD. He's like, I like this girl, isko dalo. And I was like, oh my God. And one of my, lead singers was sitting. He's like, show him your dance videos. Show, like like a mom. He was like, show him your dance videos. I was like, shut up. And then, so it was really funny. And then I got casted in the thing with the band, which was kind of funny because we did not go with that expectation at all. And then we're standing outside of the hotel, sitting in his car, listening to the song. And Vishal sir is standing outside, and the team is sitting in the car listening to the song, the song we had to learn in a day to be able to perform it in the movie. So the band actually is playing the song genuinely. They learned the song, which was really cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's congratulations, first of all, to you and to the group, right? I think it's very big, especially South Asians doing that out in Calgary. Those opportunities are very seldom. So for you guys to make the most of it and to work with somebody like that, and for me to understand, because a lot of time, as you said, we have this misconception, oh, ye to bada director hai, ye itna kaam nahi karte honge aur kisi aur ko de denge. But to understand like the work that goes in and how serious they are about it, it's quite incredible.
Every little detail was taken care of. That man eats after his entire crew eats. From like the top actors to like extras to like anyone who's like cast and crew, he eats after everyone and he makes sure that everyone is taken care of. And I think that's why he's the artist he is, because he's such a good person.
So again, a question on that. So you have this group. How do new artists kind of join your group? What are the opportunities that lie for them? How can they approach you guys? What's the process for that?
Yeah, so for us, we're audition based. We're not currently looking for any more musicians because the band is at its capacity, but we are open to always knowing who's out there, because you never know, there might be a need of something. In terms of dance team, it's audition based. You guys, if someone is interested, they can reach out to me directly and send me a dance video of theirs, or we can schedule an in-person audition. It's a 3-part process where I basically want to see them in their own element. So they show me their own self choreography for a minute-long piece. The second element to the audition is I will teach them a choreography and to see if they're able to keep up with the choreography. And then the third element is that personal interview where I want to get to know them as a person.
And do you guys do like classes for the general public as well? People who might just want to learn dance?
Yeah. So we have beginner classes on Sundays and they're weekly. And I have my expert instructors who've been training with Madhuban for the past 7 years who are teaching these classes now. So they teach those beginner classes every week. And also for workshops, I do once a month intermediate level workshops. So that's the only public facing training I'm doing or offering right now. And those workshops are a lot of fun. So if anyone's looking for just like that once in a month, kind of like I want to go and learn something new, I think those workshops are great.
Yeah, I think I'm asking it for myself because I'm not the greatest dancer, but I love art, I love music, and I love dancing. And I was watching some of the videos that you guys have, and one song in particular that resonate the most with me is Ramta Jogi. And you guys have some really great performances on that. And I'm like, maybe I can learn how to dance on this song.
Oh, 100%. That's our job. So you have to let us do our job to teach you.
So let's switch gear here, Ishita, and let's talk about your academic careers. You have a degree in marketing. Can you walk me through as to why did you choose marketing? I somewhere read that you also got an award for Student of the Year. Talk about your Bollywood coincidence there. What was that about? Like, how did you pursue that passion?
Oh my God, there's a whole long story of why I ended up in marketing. I always thought I was going to be a doctor. Every good Indian girl should. So I always thought I was going to be a doctor. And then I had this teacher in high school, and she was like, almost like giving me that energy. Pagal hai. Like, it was like, you're not meant to be a doctor. So she like early on in my life recognized in junior high that I'm a highly creative person. So like जैसे जब वो projects देते थे, they would be like, make this diagram or make this something. I'll come back with a 3D model or come up with a whole production or like a play or like dance or do a presentation. Like the kids used to hate me in this class. They started like outdoing me. Everyone collectively were like against me. Like, how do we beat her at her own game? We're tired of hearing about it. So I was always very like highly creative and very wanting to stand out from the crowd type of person. कि अगर ये दिया है चैलेंज तो उसको हमने ना 10 फोल्ड्स करके देना है. तो my teacher was like to my mom कि आप अगर इसको मेडिसिन में भेज दोगे, because I had, I was very good academically, so I had an invitation to go to IB program, which not a lot of people receive. I was like 14, 15, and I was one of the 2 kids who received this invitation. They were like highly interested in having us in that program. And my teacher was like, no, decline it, decline it, decline it. Because once you go down that path, you're going to lose your personality. You're going to lose your zest for art. You're going to lose that creative side to yourself. So she was the one teacher and mentor who really changed my life and how I saw myself. Because honestly, I could have gone down that like completely academic path. I could have become a doctor. I could have become whatever I had set my mind to. But she made me challenge that. And she was like, look at the unconventional path and look at your personality and how you're going to preserve that. So she actually moved to the same high school that she wanted me to go to. And in that high school, she was launching a pilot program for art-centered learning, where they would take people who are artistic and inclined towards arts, and you would learn like bio, sciences, whatever else through arts. So from there, I was like then looking for a career path. And in grade 12, I was so confused. Like, where do I go? What do I do? I don't know what I'm doing, what I want to do now. I talked to someone in an arts college, and they were like, marketing would be a good fit for your personality, because from what you're telling me and where your interests lie, this would be good. Like strategic, you're creative and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, okay, great. And then that's where I figured it out. And it's been actually the best choice that I made, because I think marketing and arts go so hand in hand. And it's like every artist should know how to market themselves. It's very important. Mm-hmm. So it worked out.
And what a good teacher that you have, right? Because for Ms. a teacher Parks. To kind of like, shout out to Miss Parks, because for a teacher to take that initiative and actually, challenge you and be like, hey, there is this other path. You could be a doctor or a professional, but you might want to try this. And from there, you came to your current role as a senior communications manager at CBC. Walk me through. Yeah,
I just wanted to correct. It's senior communications officer. Just so if Will is watching, he's not like, oh, you're trying to take my job.
Just a correction, senior communications officer.
It's been a long journey here as well, right? Like I worked in the industry for 5 years in different companies. I started off my journey at a charity, then I ended up at a corporate firm, and then randomly during COVID applied to the CBC and forgot about it, and then ended up hearing back from them and getting selected. So it's been a blessing. I've been here for the past 3 years. It really marries my love for the community and that passion for marketing in one, where I feel like I'm finally able to represent voices that wouldn't get represented otherwise. And it's just the right fit for me all around.
Yeah, that's very good. And what would you say, what qualities from your academic or your professional career sort of translate into your arts with Madhuban?
Oh, so many. Like every time I feel like I get a new job, I've learned something new from my mentor or my boss, and then I like start implementing that in Madhuban, in my leadership abilities. I was not always the leader I am today. I've learned a lot from the people who are around me. I've also learned a lot from my team telling me what I suck at. My role is at CBC so similar to my role at Madhuban, Like, it's creative, it's artsy, it's community connections. There's overlaps sometimes where I'm dancing at an event and I'm covering the event at the same time. Like, that's actually happened. I've gotten off the stage and like, okay, camera uthao, or like actually go interview people. Like, it's like this dancing reporter like scenario at that point. So like it's cool. Like, I feel like the skills are very transferable. When I see what's working in terms of strategy, model, how do you approach things? How do you actually make it meaningful for the community? You take that learning and you implement that anywhere you can. Yeah.
Very, very cool. So recently, you've been named Top 40 Under 40 by Avenue Magazine.
Yeah.
You got the South Asian Inspiration Award just a few months before that, and Queen's Platinum Jubilee Medal a year before that. What does all these awards mean for you? What's the importance for these things in your life?
It's been like a heavy question. I'm still processing it, and some of it hasn't hit me yet. So I'm like looking at photos every other day, and I'm like, oh, this happened. And like, yeah, I process things very slowly, especially when it comes to like achievements, because imposter syndrome is a big thing that I struggle with. But these achievements in general, like all my life, like any times I've won an accolade or an award of sorts, I feel like it reminds you of a responsibility that you have. And now that I have a full-fledged team that like the team looks up to me, it's not just me. It's not just Ishita Singla. It's Ishita Singla and Madhuban. And it's mostly actually Madhuban and Ishita. Like it should be that way. Like it's Madhuban Performing Arts. And then in that whole thing, it's me. So when I have that kind of responsibility, it just reminds me कि भाई और भी करना है. Like यहाँ पे नहीं रुक सकते हो. And especially after you get top 40 under 40, it's okay, I'm 30 and I've gotten this award at the age of 30. Now I have to prove myself for the next decade at least. So I'm already like stressing ki kya karungi. So I don't think it's like, yes, like it's a thing to celebrate. And I think it's a thing for my entire team to celebrate, because I wouldn't be getting these without them. But I also see it as a way to represent our community and to change the narrative. So that part is very important to me, because how many times do you see a dancer, an Indian dancer, standing at a platform where doctors, engineers, businessmen are being awarded? And I think that narrative changing is the biggest win, because now I feel like hopefully when parents look at me or look at like Madhuban or look at any of the artists they like in Madhuban, they'll be like, ye kar rahe hain, to agar hamara bachcha bhi karega, it's not bad. It's not going to distract them. They're still going to make it in life.
Yeah, I think you said it very well. And I hope others listening to it kind of, abide by it and then follow through, be like, oh, this could be done as well.
Yeah.
So Ishita, aapki kya advice hai, like, especially to other females out there? Because I feel like sometimes females don't really get that kind of leeway to go and run with it and do the things that they want to do. Obviously, you are very successful in what you are doing. What is your recommendation for other females out there?
We are more powerful than we think we are, and we don't realize that. There's a lot of limitations and stigma that surrounds us, but actually makes us stronger than we like put out to be. Like, because when you have resistance, that's when you actually have the courage to fight it. And I think if a woman is watching this right now, I just want to remind them that don't limit yourself to what people are telling you. Don't limit yourself to anything that the society has put in your mind. Because if you want to achieve something, and I know this applies to every woman out there, if you put your mind to it, you'll achieve it. And it's all within you. You don't need a man to make it happen. You don't need anyone else to make it happen. You can do it all on your own.
100%. I think you're absolutely correct on that. So Ishita, humne baat kari your high achievements and your proud moments. Let's flip the narrative on that. Has there been a moment, maybe a failure or a setback rather? You have a favorite failure of yours. What did you learn from it and how did it help you?
Favorite failure of mine. Actually, I was thinking about this. A year ago, I couldn't even walk. So I was extremely sick last year, and the year, like I was sick for the last 2 years. It was like ongoing health implications I was dealing with. And I would be sitting and choreographing because I couldn't walk and dance myself. So I'm still rebuilding the strength and the stamina to get up and dance a full show, because somewhere my body does kind of give up. I got extreme kidney infection and it just spread through my entire body and it really weakened me and whatever. So I think human body is so fragile and we all go through things, setbacks. I went through extreme pain. And pain is something that I'm not used to and I'm not very good with pain. So it taught me a lot. It taught me a lot about myself and it taught me a lot about where my challenges are, how I can use setbacks to create something or to channel it in a different way. And yeah, the last 2 years were a huge setback for me, but came back stronger this year. And I think the achievements are a testimony to that. And it's crazy because if you talked to me last year at the same time, it would be a completely different narrative. So life, like, anytime someone feels like giving up, I'm like, no, it doesn't end there. It gets better. It gets better. If you hit rock bottom, it goes up. And I literally saw that happen to me this year.
That's very powerful. And when you hit rock bottom, there's only one place that you can go from there, right? So
Yep.
there's that to it as well.
Yeah.
So I guess my question is, because you were talking about physical pain, and I think physical pain is one aspect because you're dancing, but how big was the mental aspect of it? Because I think when you can't physically perform, it's the mental aspect that you have to fight. How did you do that?
Yeah, it was actually physical pain takes a lot of toll on your mental health. I was in the darkest place I can ever be. I remember April of last year. I didn't know if I was going to make it. So the fact that I'm here is a big accomplishment. So in a very dark place, my friends were worried, my parents were worried, everyone was worried. I was getting professional help for it. And I encourage anyone who's dealing with mental health to talk to somebody, and your friends might not always understand, right? And you shouldn't rely on your friends and family to always understand. I think there's professional help out there. Use it. Most of the workplaces have resources for it. And if not, there's Distress Center. There's so many other resources. And when I tapped into that, it helped me clear my mind up. It gave me some tools to work through my anxiety, through whatever side effects that the medications had caused me. It was a lot of medications. It was like I was hallucinating at most points. So like, how do I make sense of reality from what I was experiencing to what was happening? And it like resurfaced a lot of childhood trauma. It resurfaced a lot of things that I had like left undealt with. And yeah, I think it just goes back to show that like mental health is so important. The conversations around it are so important and everyone goes through it. No matter how glamorous anyone's life looks on Instagram, don't go by that. Ask people how they're doing. Check in, like be kind when you can choose to be anything in this world. And I think this is the most cliche thing that Instagram probably has all over the place. Be kind because it's actually so important. You don't know what the other person is going through. And I'm like literally the biggest testimonial to this because I was going through a heck lot and people thought I was living my best life. So, yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that because it's very hard to be vulnerable, but you letting us in there, it might resonate with some other people who might be on that same scenario and they're like, oh, where do I go? And is it okay what I'm feeling?
Yeah.
So, yeah. I appreciate it. Thank you for sharing that with us. Let's go back into your childhood. You mentioned that you were an immigrant when you came to Canada. Can you kind of give me details on how old were you? Where in India are you from? And at what age did you come here?
Yeah, so I'm from Chandigarh. I lived in a small town called Mandi Gobindgarh because that's where my dad's business was. So I grew up in a small town, but my roots are all in Chandigarh. Like both my families are from Chandigarh. So आना जाना रहता था basically. And moved here when I was 11 and first went to Toronto because we had like extended family there. Then we heard about Calgary being this great place for, especially newcomers because it was more affordable. There were more jobs. So we moved here as a family. And we've just been here since then. And Calgary is honestly home. I do not see myself living anywhere else at the moment. So like, even if I do move away at some point, I would come back to Calgary as like the home base.
So question to you, how was your immigrant journey? Did you feel there were any challenges? How do you think Canada has changed now in terms of, because there's so much more immigration than there was before. Are there any memories, experiences that you had being a young immigrant?
Oh, 100%. Being an immigrant child at that age was not easy. Kids are not very kind at that age. Like at 10, 11, kids are kind of like into bullying and they're very unfiltered. There's a lot of things that kids do that do not, I don't know, I maybe this new generation is a little more kinder, but like growing up, I found the kids to be extremely mean. And I had a culture shock because in India, it was cool to be smart. It was cool to be intelligent. It was cool to like raise your hand and be like, I know the answer to this. And I came here and I was like, reprimanded for it. They're like, are you kidding me? Are you like a teacher's pet? Like, what are you? Like, you're trying to be this nerd. I was getting a lot of criticism for being like a good kid. And yeah, so I had trouble connecting with kids here when I moved here because I was hesitant to be myself around them. There wasn't a lot of diversity in the school I went to. I was one of the only Indian kids. So I didn't feel like I fit in. I didn't feel like I looked like them. I didn't feel like I talked like them. I was like, how do I like make sense of this, right? So I went really quiet from being the queen bee in Indian schools, like where I was the most popular girl, to like not having any friends here, not being able to talk to anyone. I was like at my lowest, man. And that's when I feel like I turned to dancing as a way to express myself, because talent show aata tha and I'd be like, okay, this is my chance to like actually have my moment or be able to express what I'm feeling. So that's where I became a little bit of myself. And I remember I was about to lose it and my mom was like, nope, you're going to keep dancing. Like, why are you hesitating to dance? You have to keep dancing. So as an immigrant, I think a lot of kids go through these challenges. Like, you feel like you're out of place. You feel like you've left this comfortable life in India to come, or wherever you're from, to come here and watch your parents struggle day in and out, doing all the odd jobs and making things happen. And you have this like sense of guilt that if you don't match up to their efforts, you're gonna fail them. You're gonna make everything that they've done so far to create these resources for you go to, I don't know, like they would all go to waste. So yeah, like, and I'm an only child, so there was extra pressure on me.
Right on that, right? Because people are not nice. Based on your life experiences, because you've had your fair share, what advice would you give to your 20-year-old self, knowing everything that you know about life right now?
Oh, well, at 20, I was extremely insecure. So I think I would tell myself that there's no need to be insecure. But also, I don't know if I want to give her any advice to change anything, because I think the journey I went through, the bullying I went through, the challenges I went through, all the anger I felt when I wasn't heard or when I wasn't seen is what made me who I am. So it's a challenging question for me because I feel like my life panned out exactly how it needed to. Like, you know, when they say trust where you are right now, that's how I feel right now. Like, I'm like, okay, like I'm in the right place. Like all those challenges, all the things that happened so I could be the person I am today. Because if that 20-year-old experienced a different life or got something easier, Madhuban wouldn't be here. Like, I feel like I would have given up, or I would have not pursued it as strongly. So my advice is do what you're doing, man.
That's wonderful. So I guess like a flip to that is, what is your advice to other immigrants coming to Canada right now? Because there's like what we have 500,000 coming in this year alone. What do you want to tell them?
One thing is take everything as an opportunity. Be yourself. Don't be scared to represent you. I think one thing I'm really proud of my parents for doing, and also like for me to listen to them, is I never tried to fit into a culture that didn't resonate with me. Like a lot of people or kids come here and they lose themselves because they're like trying to fit into the it crowd, or they're trying to like be someone they're not. Like they'll change everything about them, right? Like they'll like go through a huge transformation. And I truly believe everyone has a right to do whatever they want with their like body, like looks, whatever else, however you want to represent yourself. If you want to change your name, do it. But if it's for the wrong reasons, if it's just to fit in, then I feel like that's where you become inauthentic, right? Like you're not being true to yourself. So when you come here and you're trying to settle into this new community and you feel like you're not fitting in, I would say try to be the most authentic self. And the good part about this new Calgary or Canada, I would say, because we've become more well versed with immigration now, is people are accepting of it. People are more accepting. And one thing, I was watching this session by Indra Nui. She was the former president and CEO. I think it was president of Pepsi, right? So she's this influential woman, and she was saying, you know, you have to come in and you have to integrate. You can't just stay in your little like bubble, but you can't also let go of your culture. You have to be who you are, but you have to learn how to integrate into the new society. And I want to pass that on to other people because I agree with it. Like when I'm running Madhuban or when we're doing projects, we are very mindful of how much we want to keep it within the community and how much we want to introduce other communities to ourselves. And same goes with like just any immigrant. Like you don't have to be an artist for it. You're just coming into this country. Remember that you are coming into a new country and you have to integrate, you have to change some of the values to align with the society here, but at the same time, don't lose yourself. I don't know if I made sense, but that's
you sure did. And I think it's like there's a fine line there, right? To understand where that line is.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times it's not going to help you if you try to do everything that was done back home, So you have to adopt some of the good things and still be true to yourself, as you said. That's our tagline, where authenticity reigns. So be authentic.
Exactly. And if you're cheering for like India, Pakistan at home, great. You're watching cricket, you're cheering for them, great. But also go out and watch a hockey game and learn about hockey. So you can speak both the languages. You can walk both the societies at the same time.
Yeah, that's like a superpower to have.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's awesome. So Ishita, my question is, you have a professional career and then you have an artistic career. How do you manage your day effectively? What does your day look like?
I wish I knew. Artists are messy, man. Like we do not organize ourselves that great. I'm very take things by a day type of person. I don't plan too much ahead. You're not going to believe this, but I do not have a day planner. I do not have place where I write down my schedule. I memorize my schedule, and sometimes it does get me in trouble. But like, I'm more of the person who is like, okay, like I'll figure it out kind of thing. It's working so far, but I don't know when the system is going to crash. But in terms of managing both the things, both my roles, it becomes easy. It doesn't feel like work. It feels like I'm having fun. Like when I'm at work, it doesn't feel like I'm, grinding to do nothing. Like it feels like something valuable to me. And same with Madhuban. Madhuban is just like, it feels like I'm hanging out with my friends. So works out.
Yeah. It's not like a chore for you. It's something that you really enjoy.
I think I've come to a point where I will not pursue something that feels like a chore. Life is too short. Life is too short to keep doing things that don't make you happy.
100%. So when you're not working and you're not performing or associated with Madhuban, what are you doing? What keeps you active, fresh?
I don't have a lot of that time, but I do like traveling. A lot of my like all my friends are in Madhuban, so I like to travel. We would go out and do some things together. Watching movies with friends, that's where I get a lot of my inspiration from. I'm not a reader. I watch movies. I watch a lot of content. And what else? Like hanging out, conversational hangouts, about life. Sometimes goes into the dark zone of like the world is ending and stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah. So question on that, because I ask a lot of people, what is their favorite book? You already said that you're not a reader. So what is your favorite movie or documentary that you would recommend everyone to watch?
One of my favorite movies, you're gonna think I'm like this weirdo. I watch a lot of psych thrillers. So there's a Spanish movie called The Skin I Live In. It's very gory. Very,
Interesting.
very gory. And like, I love that movie. And I think it's like a masterpiece. Talks a lot about like human psychology. So that, in terms of like a romantic kind of like conversational thing, there is this trilogy called Before Sunrise, After Sunrise, Before Sunset, I think. There's like these three movies. And these two characters are just talking the entire time. And that's all the movie is. But I feel like it was so beautiful and it was so like organic. So definitely recommend that trilogy. And in terms of documentaries, I watch a lot of murder mystery documentaries or like people killing each other. So I don't know if I should be going down that path.
Well, we'll cater that for some other day. What would you put on a billboard for the entire country to see and why?
Oh my God. That is a loaded question. Imagine if I wrote vote for Ishita. I don't think. I think it would be like something along the lines of dance to your own beat or something like very corny like that. Like it would be like dance to your own beat or I don't know. Something very inspirational. Like I'm very cheesy like that. I'll probably have like a very generic quote or something from Rumi.
That works. Dance to your own beat. I think, that's a good message for everyone. If only everyone can do it. Ishita, the role of Madhuban, what role do you think it actually plays in bridging the gap, and how does it present South Asian community in Calgary, in Alberta, Canada?
The bridging the gap part I saw and witnessed at Chinook Blast this year. So Chinook Blast is this winter festival that the city of Calgary puts on, I think in collaboration with Tourism Calgary. I could be wrong. There's a few parties involved, and they bring entire city together for different activations throughout the month of February. Like this year, last February, we got asked to perform very last minute basis. They were like, we're looking for someone to fill this space for 4 days, back-to-back weekends, and we're hoping for a 2-hour act from you guys. And I was like, no way in hell we're dancing for 2 hours in the cold. So we formed this whole like act where it was going to be like dance, like music, the band would play, and then we would have like dances in the middle, and then we would have some like audience interaction, and we were going to do this thing. My creative brief to my team was, we're a South Asian band, we're a South Asian dance team in the middle of downtown Calgary. Nobody's going to stop by and watch us. So just do whatever you want to do. I'm not kidding you. I took it like very not seriously. And as an artistic director, I look back at that and I'm like, boom, you're so stupid. And like, you should have actually put so much, like you should have put more attention to that. But I was like genuinely in my own head thinking that nobody's going to stop by and watch. And little did we know, the first night we had 200 people watching, and the message caught on, and we had an audience of 300 people surrounding us every single night. And to a point where people were climbing up poles to watch it. So the message is, why I'm telling this story is there's a clear gap. People want to see artists, ethnic artists integrated into like that, like, the bigger picture, just naturally, not like in a way where we're just put on like a global stage. Oh, here, go watch a global dance or global this. Why? Like, we're also Calgarians. We're just expressing in a different language. And music knows no language. Dance knows no language. So it shouldn't be like it's a separate entity of its own. And I loved how Chinook Blast integrated us into the programming without such cultural, like boundaries and barriers. They didn't introduce us as, oh, this Bollywood group. It was more of just come watch these performers and just find out what they are all about. And that's when we realized that there's power in that. There's power in what we're doing. We're bridging a gap that we didn't even realize we were bridging. And then we started getting messages from Edmonton going, you guys are crazy good. What you guys just pulled off in Calgary downtown, nobody's done before. And I'm like, holy shit, this is really caught on. Sorry, I swore, but that's okay.
That's okay.
Yeah, okay. So I was like, this is really caught on. This is going places. And now I'm realizing the power of how much we can do. And now I'm sitting in places where I'm advocating for ethnic artists to be on main stages, to be included in opportunities like other artists are. So we're not just seen as this quota to fill. We're not just seen as, okay, like हमें यहाँ पे diversity चाहिए तो इनको डाल दो. It's more of like, yeah, they are good, so they should be there.
Yeah. And I love that story for many different reasons. But one, as you said, yes, we are this ethnic group, but we also are Calgarians. We're also are Canadians,
Yeah.
right? So we're also part of the society. So with that comes a lot of responsibility, right? So what does the future looks like for you guys as you move in, and what sort of responsibility are you carrying?
So this year we staged our first musical theater production, something I had been aiming to do since the year we, conceptualized Madhuban. The whole intention to have a dance team, a full-fledged music team was, ek din hum apna khud ka show karenge. We will do something that tells a story, invites people in, and like conveys what we really want to convey. And so this year we staged Jeevan. It was a sold-out show. We were received with a standing ovation at the end, and I'm very proud of that because our team of 40 some artists worked their butts off like for the show. For 9 months, we cried tears of blood, sweat, joy, whatever else you could find. Like it was like a real test for our team. And that show turned out to be super successful, and I'm super proud of it. But it just set a foundational expectation for our city and for us to keep doing more. So we're writing our next show. It's going to be staged next year, and it's going to be something that we do every year where we do something like this. And the dream is one day to have a touring bus and to go around the country touring with our shows and bringing them to different cities.
That's wonderful. You know, what they say about dreams, they do come true. So be prepared for that when it does.
Thanks.
Ishita, it's been a pleasure chatting with you. I love your energy. I love what you guys are doing for the community. You know, it's so refreshing to see that perspective.
Thank you so much.
Before I let you go, though, any final thoughts for anyone who might be listening that you want to leave them with today?
First of all, I want to say this was one of the best interviews I've ever had. It was so easy to talk to you. The fact that I'm just meeting you over this call, I just felt like I could be myself. So thank you for allowing this space. And I know I've been seeing your content. You're doing some great work by bringing some of us together through these series. My parting words, and it's not parting words because we're going to keep seeing me, but is, keep showing your local artists a lot of love. We put in a lot of effort, like blood, sweat, tears into everything we do. We're not maybe Priyanka Chopra, Alia Bhatt, we're not at that level, but we could be if you give us that support and love. So when you see a show that pops up with your favorite local dancer or favorite local musician, go and support them, buy that ticket. Like it goes a long way for someone like that, rather than if you go out watch mainstream stuff. Like I'm not saying don't watch the mainstream stuff, just show local artists a lot of love. And support. Like, and if you don't know something about, a certain style or like a certain art form, do your research or talk to an artist, and I'm sure they would be happy to help you explore that.
100%. I couldn't have said it better. And that's a perfect ending to the show. So we'll leave it at that, Ishita. Thanks for your time today.
Thank you so much.